My name is Ian Scaife, and the object I'm mending is a soldier figurine. So this is the main part of the soldier figurine, and it's fairly obvious what's happened to it. Head's come off, so there's the head. Right. Obviously, I'm going to join those back together again. The head came off a few years ago, and it's been held on with blue tack. So I came across it recently and thought it was about time that I repaired it properly. My connection to the object is it belonged to my gran, who died over 20 years ago now. It was given to me as a keepsake by my mom. So after my gran died, she sorted to her things and gave that to me. I have to admit, it's not an object I would normally be drawn to at all, but obviously I'm drawn to it because association with my gran, and because of that, it's very special to me. My gran and my granddad lived across the road from me in a terraced house in Liverpool. We lived in quite what they call two up, two downs. So we lived across the road from each other. And I'd often go into their house after school. So for me, my parents' house, where obviously I lived, and my grand's house were fairly interchangeable. I'd kind of pop into my grand's quite often on the way to school, and then I go back to my house, which was just across the road for my tea. Now, to me, it was a special place. I was a very unconfident child, so when I was a sort of primary school age, I was very unconfident. Things improved when I got a bit older, but at that age, I was definitely quite insecure. I felt kind of inferior, partly because I thought that we came from quite a poor family, so in comparison, I kind of felt inferior, and I wasn't the sort of kid to assert myself very much. But going over to visit my nan and granddad, it was one place where I actually felt loved and I felt very secure. My gran actually collected figures like this, so I'll just remind you what it looks like again. And she used to have them on the mantelpiece, so they were on the mantelpiece, and she used to sit next to the mantelpiece, which there was a kind of a gas fire that was quite often on because she liked to be nice and warm. And we quite often discussed the figures, so she maybe had a new one, and I'd sort of remark on it, and we'd have a chat about it. And sometimes they played a little tune or something. There was a button that you press on them. So she used to buy them at one of the local shops, and I mean, that was probably the nearest thing that she came to collecting. And she loved them, and she loved the character of them, and she liked kind of cute little figures and things. But you could tell that she was very affectionate towards them. And one of the things about my gran is that she looked like an archetypal gran. She looked like that sort of figure herself in a way. But anyway, I loved her, and I loved my granddad, and I felt that they loved me. And it was one place that I felt really secure when I was a child. The reason I'm mending it is partly because the lockdown has given me, along with a lot of other people, I'm sure, kind of an opportunity to sort through things. So I spent a lot of time sorting through paperwork. I've thrown out a lot of old statements that I don't need anymore, but the sort of thing that you just hold on to because you're not sure if you need them. So being able to sort out through all those things. And I gave my room a good tidy. So this is the room I'm sitting in at the moment, which was well overdue. And I came across the figure on the shelf. It's kind of just chucked towards the back and looking a bit dusty. And of course, I wasn't going to throw that away. I realised I haven't looked at it for quite a long time. And of course, it reminded me of all that stuff. And I thought it really is about time that I showed the figure the proper respect it deserves and fixed it properly. Okay, so the other thing is, can everything be mended? I think that's the last question. And I don't know, to be honest. I mean, some things obviously can't be mended. If somebody, I mean, it depends if you're talking about objects or people, or, I mean, it's a lot of different things. So it's a really, really big question. I mean, I suspect that in one sense, most things can be repaired, but it depends on it, if you're willing to put the resources into them and the time. So it's whether or not it's worth repairing. So I suppose that comes into it, and what's worth repairing to one person obviously wouldn't be worth repairing to another person. So again, it very much depends what it means to people or to a community. And my other thought on this is that when something is broken in one sense, it can be mended in another sense. So I suppose what I'm thinking of is with the present situation, in one way, things are very much broken. So, you know, nothing works the way that we're used to. So, you know, you think transport and you can't fly anywhere and you're not supposed to go out. And, you know, in one, people are obviously getting sick and very seriously in a lot of cases, which is really awful. But in another way, things are getting mended. So the obvious example is the environment is improving a lot because of that there's less traffic on the road. So I think that sometimes one thing being broken could be an opportunity for other things to get fixed. So I think it's a really big question, and I'm probably not bright enough to think it through, or maybe I just need a bit more time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, this is not exactly a difficult repair, or it shouldn't be. So I'm going to put a bit of super glue and hopefully put these head together, and I'll do that right now. So I'm going to do it slightly away from where you can see, because obviously I'm working on my computer and I don't think I can angle it down enough to show you. So there you go. Yeah, I'll put a bit of super glue on. So, super glue. Okay. So put the head back on. Okay, so what I've done is I've attached the head. I'm going to hold it on a little bit, and then I'm just going to place it down next to me. And I'm hoping that this is going to stay on. Yes, it is, but I'm just going to give it some time to set. Okay, so that's my contribution to your films about mending, and good luck with the project, and thank you for listening. Okay, goodbye.